What's up, y'all? It is Ethan Jet here, and welcome back to another episode of Jet's Fishing Adventures. And guess what? The weather's turning a little colder. It's got some overcast, and we have just entered into the month of November. And you know what that means? My top 5 baits for November bass fishing video is right now. One right there. Well, thanks for coming. I have to give y'all an apology. Last month I did not do a top 5 video. I was really trying to keep that up all year, but sadly we came short last year. October is always one of the most busiest months of the year for fishing. You get a lot of tournaments, and for the most part October is a lot of the championship season, so I was trying to focus on all that and try to win some big tournaments. But we're back. If you haven't, go ahead and subscribe. I really thank y'all for being here. Without further ado, let's jump into this week's video. All right, so the month is November. That weather, particularly here in Tennessee, is kind of going into that kind of mid 60s to low 60s, high 50s. At night, our temperatures can be anywhere between like 45 to high 30s. So the nighttime temperatures this time of year, it really affects the water temp. So that's what you're looking for. You know, November, early part of November, late October, the frog fishing on the Tennessee River is amazing. But as long as that temperature stays above probably like 55, it's really good. But once that water temp drops below that 55, it can get pretty slow. And 55 is even a low number. Probably 60 is what you're really looking for. But anyway, anytime those temps, water temps start to drop, the fish start schooling up after bait fish, and you can find them in a lot of pockets, in the back of coves. The fishing can be really good this time of year, but you know, when it's not good and it's kind of slow, we'll get into my first bait. You know, a lot of times these fish like to really get clean to cover, docks, laydowns, and there's really no better bait to pick apart a dock, a laydown, than a jig. You know me, this is a bad boy jig. It's one of my favorites. You can sit there and flip around cover, real tight to cover. You won't get hung up for the most part with a jig. But you can really pick that cover apart and catch some giants, and you can catch some small ones. A jig, you know, a lot of people switch to a jig when they're really trying to get that big bite. But for me, a jig's an all-around bait to get that limit. Definitely a tournament. I got this one, you know, it's a bad boy jig paired up with a torn outdoor timber crawl. Nothing special if you've been around the channel for a while. But this little jig right here, the deadly combo if you're trying to get those limit fish, and for the most part, some good size. I throw my setup, nothing spectacular. It's a 7'2", medium heavy, fast action. I like that little bit longer rod to get that little bit longer cast, or I do like that 7'2" because if I'm trying to get that longer cast, I can. But also I got really good accuracy flipping. I use 30-pound braid with usually 15 to 20-pound Seaguar Invisex or a Brazex leader. All right, moving on to bait number 2. You know, this time of year, the fish are schooling up. There's massive schools eating bait fish, and there's really no way to mimic a bait fish better than a square bill or a crankbait in general. This is the H2O square bill in a shad color. I'm not sure the exact color. It dives between 5 to 6 foot. They're your standard square bill. The reason why I like these H2O Expresses, they're about $6, really $5 if you, for the most part, really cheap. You know, the bad thing about treble hooks, you're gonna get it hung up, and when the bait costs $15 to $12 a piece, that can be really expensive. So I like these H2O. I'm on a budget, so I like these H2O Express crankbaits, one of my favorite. But this time of year, if you see them schooling up, you can make a bomb cast out. You start reeling, and a lot of times your first reel or two, you got one, and a treble hook bait is a great way to at least get that at least start, get them hooked. A lot of times they can jump and get off, but for the most part, if you have very sticky treble hooks, you won't lose them. As I mentioned, I like to bomb. You know, these schools are feeding and they'll just all of a sudden bust up on shad, and they can be a little bit of ways off, so you can hurry up and get to them. But a lot of times they've already gone away. So having a 7'6" rod that you can make these real long casts is a must, in my opinion. This is a Cashin 7'6" Icon. It's a cranking rod. I love this rod. It's a medium heavy. It's a medium, moderate, fast. Love it. It's just an absolute great rod. I got it paired up with 12-pound Seaguar in Vizex. Great all-around setup. And I got it with a Tatula SV Daiwa reel. Really good setup for these little crankbaits, and I like it where you can really make that long cast, and you can have some really fun time. All right, moving on to number 2. You know, the bait fish are back up in the coves, like I've said before, but in a lot of times, if you really look at the bait fish, they're really small. So one of the best ways to mimic a school of small bait fish is a spinnerbait. You know, one thing I've kind of noticed in the fishing industry lately is you don't really see that many small spinnerbaits, or really you don't see a lot of people fish a spinnerbait around here. And I'm guilty of it myself. I love a chatterbait, but it's kind of been replaced by a chatterbait. And to be honest, I've tried to fish a spinnerbait more here lately because so many people throw in chatterbaits, and I've had a lot of success on it. I'm not 100% sure what spinnerbait this is. I think it's a Walmart special. I'm not 100% sure. It's a kind of a smaller. I like the compact size. The skirt is really nice. Now the rubber band needs some work, but that's what makes me think that it's a Walmart special. But one thing that drew me to it is look at how small these blades are. You know, these bait fish out here this time of year are very small. I got it paired with a Torrent Thresher 4.2. This is a really cool little spinnerbait that gets bit a lot by big fish, by small fish. But any type of spinnerbait this time of year, you know, the fall months, we get a lot of wind around here. So a lot of wind, and when it's cloudy like this, it's a definition of spinnerbait weather. And this is one of my favorite things to throw this time of month. In the fall transition, that early winter, it can be deadly though. But I actually got it on my 7'3" Protus Little Miami. One thing, you know, we're in a kayak, or I'm in a kayak. We don't have a lot of room to carry a bunch of rods. So having a rod that is multifunctional, that can fish and be very good at fishing other baits, is a plus for me. So this is actually their chatterbait rod, but it fishes a spinnerbait amazing. The sensitivity, you know, a lot of times a spinnerbait has a real small vibration, but this rod is so sensitive you can still feel these little blades, and it's just one of my all-time favorite rods. It's awesome for chatterbait and awesome for spinnerbaits. I got it with a Lew's, I think this is a speed spool. Love this reel. I've been very impressed with my Lew's here lately. I got it paired with 15-pound Seaguar and Vizex. No, Seaguar Tatsu 15-pound. There's no better line on the market right now. And this is just my spinnerbait setup. Alrighty, for my fourth, I got kind of a 2 bait option, which really is just one kind of bait, but it's 2 different sizes. And that's a spook. You know, there's really no better bait, and really no more, I'm going to use the word funner, bait to throw than a topwater. And this time of year, with the fish schooling up after bait fish, a spook is really the best bet to catch those schooling fish. If they're busting up on top, you can throw one of these spooks out really far and work it back really quickly, and they just love it. This is a Sexy Dog Strike King. I love fishing a spook like this. This is a 7'3" Cashin Elite Series rod. One of my favorite all-time rods ever. Moving to the little bit smaller setup. You know, this time of year, a lot of the bait fish are a lot smaller. If they're a lot smaller and I'm needing a limit, I'll fish this little Shire Blows 77 size. Love this little bait. I've caught so many schooling fish on that, but if I do throw that, it can be a little bit hard to throw it on a bait caster. I want the farthest distance I can get, and there's no better way to throw it on a spinning rod. This is the 6'10" U10 little mammy rod. Just an absolute hammer of a rod. My probably all-time favorite spinnerbait, or my all-time favorite spinning reel rod. It's just amazing. This little 6'10", oh, it's a wacky rig, small flukes. It's a killer rod. So if you want to check them out, hit up Little Mammy. It's probably one of my favorite rods of all time. But if they're schooling up on bait fish and they're hitting top, a spook is the best option in my opinion. It is so fun. You get to see that blow up. You get to reel them in. You just keep reeling. Oh, it's just so blissful, so fun. It's just amazing. And last, but definitely not least, it would be a sin to not talk about it for the early part of November, late October. And if you're on the Tennessee River and you're not throwing one, then get off the water because you don't know how to fish. And this is one of my all-time favorite ways to catch them. And you probably already know, and that is a frog. This time of year, fishing a frog is so fun. A lot of times it can get a little monotonous because you got to fish it very slow. If you watch the video coming out at the end of this week, I'll be showing the TVKA 3 Lake Classic, and I fished Guntersville for 2 days, and they were chewing on this frog. Bad thing is, it was so slow. But anyway, this time of year, the mats, the grass flats will start to die off, and they'll kind of come in a little bit. And when they do, that grass will lay over. And what that happens is you're creating a mat. And underneath it, it's open. But on top, it's a full-on grass mat. It'll cheese over a little bit. And you can throw this frog on top. On top of it, you kind of want a heavier frog. And so this little toad thumper is kind of a heavier frog. But it'll sit right on that top of that grass mat like this. And you just kind of twitch it. It'll move that grass mat. And the fish just absolutely eats it. If you are fishing a real heavy grass mat, I would recommend fishing a black frog, because if you look up in the sky with this white one, it can almost blend in, but a black one will stand really out. And that's what a bass is doing. He's sitting underneath that mat, looking straight up and waiting for something to come out. So that's what they're waiting for. In my opinion, I really don't think it's a frog. They think that it is a frog for the most part. I really think it's just a shad imitation, but you know, they might be waiting for frogs. I'm not sure, but I think a lot of times they think it's a shad. At Guntersville just a couple of days ago, I was fishing this around the isolated stuff. Awesome frog. This toad thumper is probably my favorite frog of all time. Super easy. These hooks are sharp, and they have great hookup ratio. I probably caught 6 fish. I had 6 blow-ups, and I caught 4 of those on this frog. And that's great with a frog. That's my favorite frog of all time. I throw it with Seaguar tactical braid. Not sure, I think it's 50 pound, maybe 60. I got it on just a cheap Shimano SLX. It is a 7'2", heavy powered. And I talk about heavy, this is a broomstick, guys. I got it actually on a Bass Pro Shop Pro Qualifier reel. If you watch, I've kind of been playing around with my reels. This is actually a left-handed reel. The reason behind that, I thought that if I use a left-handed, I can get that better hookup using my strong hand to set that hook. So far, I've liked it. It is a little weird that when you get that hook, the hook set, you're trying to find that reel. It can get a little challenging. But anyway, this is my setup. I love a frogging. Little Mammy actually has some frog rods that I want to check out. Or he can build me some, so that'll probably be what I'll get here very soon. But as of right now, this is my frog setup, and I love it. Frog fishing can be so fun. Can also be kind of frustrating because you do miss a lot of fish and you see the fish. Most of the time those blow-ups are so aggressive, and it's probably my favorite way to fish of all time. Well, all right guys, I hope you enjoyed my 5 baits for November video. Sorry again for not getting one out in October. It's just been very busy here. My dad's had some bad health lately, so it's non-stop here at the Jet household. So hopefully we can get all that. We can start getting these videos out every week. Trying to do 2 videos a week. It can be hard to get a lot of content. Y'all will be surprised how long it takes, or how many hours of content I have to do or have to get out to fish just to make a 20-minute long video or even shorter video. So if you haven't, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Show me some support. Comment below if you have any video ideas. I got a few video ideas that I'm going to do this off season that I think is going to be really interesting. And one video is going to be one of the very few like first of a kind video, so I can't wait to do that. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. Comment below your top bait for the month of November. I love seeing them, and we will see y'all next video.